On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Epitaph by Necrophagist because it's Death Metal December. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal, and we like to talk about it. And it's Death Metal December, so we're talking all about death metal for this month. And you brought some German death metal from the year 2004 for us to talk about. A band that released a whole 2 albums over what looks like a 18-year history or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And the 2 albums they released were towards the end. So it's a band like that I've heard of, that I knew like a reputation of, that a lot of people seem to like. But yeah, they sort of put out a couple albums and then did some touring, went on hiatus, and never came back.
Right.
And
that whole time they were kind of a ship of Theseus kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only consistent member, and the person who was really the driving force behind the band, was the vocalist and guitarist Muhammad Susimez. I don't know how to pronounce the last name there. But he was the driving force behind the band, as it would seem. Did songwriting, that sort of thing.
Right.
And everyone else sort of kind of changed willy-nilly, maybe. That's probably a mischaracterization, but
willy-nilly. Just random people would walk into the room and, hey, do you want to play drums?
You're our drummer now. I mean, I feel like that's just the history of rock music right there, though.
Yeah.
You're always in need of a new drummer because the last one exploded.
Right, exactly. Because you're Spinal Tap, apparently. Yeah.
Your last drummer exploded. Spinal Tap, whom I confuse every single member of the band for the other member of the band.
Right. You don't know.
As we found out earlier today. Yeah. I don't know the difference between Christopher Guest and Michael McKean.
Right.
And the other one, who I've already forgotten.
That would be Harry Shearer.
Harry Shearer. Yeah. I don't know the difference between any of them.
Yeah. I know it has happened, by the way. I was seeing behind the music where they needed like a musician to play a special instrument, and they're like, what do we do? Who do we call? I wish I could remember what band it was. And they're like, fucking order a pizza. And they ordered pizza, and the guy showed up, and they're like, you don't play like saxophone, do you? And he's like, yeah.
Sure I do.
He became a permanent member of their band, and they had pizza.
Was this guy? Do you remember his name at all?
I can't remember what. I can't remember what band it was. So
that guy's name, Kenny G.
Co-founder of Starbucks, Kenny G.
Literally the only saxophonist whose name I know.
Really?
That I could think of.
Off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head is Kenny G. That's the only one. Was you co-founder of Starbucks?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Like the Kenny G I'm talking about is the co-founder of Starbucks. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
I think he sold his stake
in it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's. I wonder if he's kicking himself about that at all.
I don't think so.
Is Kenny G alive?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Still recording, I believe.
Okay.
And if you watch the USA Network at like 2:00 in the morning, you can buy one of his albums.
New from. Do they still do that? I mean, that's I guess 2:00 in the morning. That's when they do that stuff. Right. And sell albums like that on network television in prime time.
I've bought some of those.
Really?
I've actually done it in my lifetime.
What ones have you bought?
Let's see. I bought. What was the one with hey? It was like the
I got nothing.
Enya was on there. There was some native stuff on there. It was like, oh, this sounds soothing. And it was like 2:00 in the morning.
It was like a compilation of different things?
It was I wish I could remember what it was called, but I can't remember shit.
Now
tonight,
that's
apparently.
what I call music.
I don't think I ever bought one of those.
Hippie edition.
Yeah, because I couldn't sleep and the weed wasn't working, and I'm like, if I just had that CD at some time in the future, I might sleep.
It would help you sleep.
Right.
The soothing sounds of Enya.
Yeah.
Would help you fall asleep. That might be true. Enya's got a very soothing voice.
That's true. I think I've had 2 albums with that one, and then my friend Chuck.
Enya's greatest hits.
I don't remember because my friend Chuck stole it off a cart in a hotel hallway.
Oh no! You don't remember what album?
I don't remember what album it was. I just remember he's here. You want a CD? I'm like, where'd you get this, dude? It was luggage over here. All right.
I just nabbed it as I was walking by. Chuck.
Yeah.
Good old Chuck.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, are we celebrating Chuckmas next week?
I believe that was the plan.
Okay.
I think I looked at the calendar at some point and was like, Christmas is on either a Wednesday or Thursday. What's the computer say?
It says it's on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's on a Wednesday.
Right.
So, yeah, next week we'll have to be Chuckmas.
Sweet.
We'll have to be the Chuck Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Chuck Mass, where we... hear a sermon about Chuck.
Oh, I thought you were saying, the small township of Chuck in the state of
Massachusetts.
Could be Chuck Mass.
Well, you can attend Chuck Mass in Chuck, Massachusetts.
Sure.
Which wasn't Chuck Schuldiner actually from, or who was he from? New York.
What?
He's from the East Coast originally.
Yeah. He wasn't from Florida?
Yeah. Because give me a second here. I think he might have been from like New Jersey or something.
Originally, Charles Schuldiner, the creator.
Not Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schuldiner.
Yes, the creator of Peanuts.
He's from Long Island.
Long Island. All right.
It's like I knew he was from the East Coast somewhere. But yeah, not. Oh damn it! I closed the Wikipedia page for Necrophagist.
Oh well.
Whatever.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I just grabbed my phone.
They're Spanish, right?
Yeah, they're from Spain. They're from Spain. My phone, 17% battery.
We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
We could go wrong.
Exactly. That's a great. Yeah.
What you been up to?
Oh, I did my Christmas shopping today.
Oh, did you? All of it?
Got my nephews some toys.
So do you guys draw out of a hat, or do you?
No, we used to, and I enjoyed that because it made things very easy for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm bad at getting gifts.
Mm-hmm. So am I. Terrible.
Yeah, it was like one person whom you can focus on and ask them, hey, what would you like? What are some options? And I'll pick from those.
I think what I'm going to do for absolutely everyone this year is make things out of construction paper. Like just here
like
you go.
What?
Like maybe a horse or a train. Or maybe a bear.
Okay.
Or maybe a cloud with a sun.
Okay, a cloud with a sun.
Yeah.
That's like 2 in 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's 2 gifts in 1.
That's for someone special.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because that's all the fucking money I have.
Yeah. No, that's I got it done all at once.
Nice.
I have family members who listen to this, so I won't spoil. They know what they're getting.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I did for everyone last year.
Nice.
But what's important to me, liquor. What's important to me is like I at least want to get something for like everyone, basically. Even if it's something that's not particularly special, like I just got something for everybody. I made myself do it. Because I'd love to get a personalized gift for everyone, but I don't know what everyone likes. I don't know what other people may have gotten them. I don't want the moment of doubling up on gifts.
I think it would be great if you did that. If you just bought like 20 World's Greatest Dad coffee mugs. Just gave them to everybody.
Gave them to everyone, including my sisters. And my mom.
Your nephews.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got that done today. I actually will have to go back because I was fuck it, I got some gift cards. I got some Visa gift cards.
Man, that you feel like you're copping out. You feel like you're being like, hey, person I don't really know that is my close member family. But in reality, everybody loves a gift card.
Yeah, well, especially like the Visa ones because you can use them anywhere.
Exactly. You go through the Target line and say, hey, pump $50 onto this. I'm gonna show my family some love.
Yeah.
Here you go. Spend this wherever you want to.
Yeah, and but there was a limit. You could only buy 5, and I was gonna buy 6.
Oh, you can only buy 5
at once. Oh. Yeah.
Ah.
Probably because drug dealers use them or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Scam artists use them too.
Yeah. So there's probably some reason that's there. I didn't know that was there, so I had to stop what I was doing and put one back. So I'll have to remember to go back tomorrow and grab one. When I got to Target, the lines were out of control.
Oh, God, I'm not looking forward to that. I haven't done any shopping yet.
Yeah, but then by the time I went to check out, everything was fine. Mm-hmm. And I was only there for like 10 minutes. So I don't know.
There at the end of the peak.
I don't know what happened at 4:25. That when I got there at like 4:31, there was such a massive buildup of people.
See, everybody got the same idea. They're like, everybody gets off work at 5. I'm going to go a half hour early.
And everyone got there at the same time, But no, it was once I got to checkout, it was fine. So,
right.
I need to remind myself to go back and get the last thing. So I got something for everyone, all of the adult members of my family,
immediate family.
Yeah.
Probably not cousins or.
Well, I don't know who's all going to be at our Christmas this year. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just going to be me, the siblings, their significant others, and children, or if if my cousins are going to be there or not. I have no idea. So I figured siblings, parents, significant others, got it covered. So I'm happy I got that out of the way.
Nice. Excellent.
But yeah,
I became someone else's uncle since we last talked in there.
I don't know why that's such a that feels like such a really strange way of putting that. I became someone else's uncle.
Yeah. There became a new person.
There became a new person.
Yes, his name is Leon.
Leon.
Yep.
Leon Kennedy.
No.
From Resident Evil 4 and 2 and all the other ones.
I'm now his uncle.
You're now Leon Kennedy's uncle.
Yeah.
That's what, because you married his sister. No.
That's how that works.
What are uncles?
I married his aunt.
You married his aunt. There we go.
Yeah. I married his grandma. Now I'm his uncle.
And I'm my own grandpa. Your brother had a kid.
His wife. Krista.
Yes.
She had a baby. That's their third child. They have now 2 children that I've never met.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, where are they at?
Like Virginia.
Yeah, because your brother's still in the Air Force, isn't he?
Yeah.
So they're all could be anywhere in the world.
Right. I never really know. And my sister called tonight. I hadn't spoken to her since the 80s, and she called me tonight. And it was funny. I was going to do the dishes. I'm going to do that. Well, I'm going to listen to the album again. I'm going to do the dishes and take out the trash. And then she called, and I'm like, I love her and I love talking to her. But I didn't get my house cleaned.
Here goes the next hour and a half.
Yeah, because we had to catch up.
Sure.
And I'm not. Yeah, and then I said I got to go to the podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta go talk about metal.
Yeah. Hey, it's your mom. Not now, man. I gotta surf. Sorry, ma'am. He's dead. I need to bring that album at some point.
What album is that?
Surfin' M.O.D.
Surfin' M.O.D.
Yeah.
I think I started thinking of S.O.D.
But it's same singer, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He just likes his acronyms?
Yeah. They're a method of destruction instead of the Stormtroopers of death.
I see.
When they all sort of went back to their regular jobs, he's like, I gotta do something.
I can't go work at the fucking Costco.
Yeah. Yeah.
I better make some more music.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been doing anything other than just playing more Death Stranding.
Yeah. That's all you've been doing?
That's all. I haven't been going to work. I haven't been showering.
I noticed.
I haven't eaten. No, yeah. I'm really into the. There's a part of the game that's not like a narrative part of the game, like a chunk of the story, but rather a component of the game.
Yeah.
Is building highways that you can use to travel between the bigger cities. And then it helps you make deliveries. It's easier to drive on them with the trucks and the bikes. And I just find it really kind of relaxing gathering the materials needed to do that, building it one piece at a time. And when you build the roads or contribute, large amounts to their construction, because the way the multiplayer aspect of the game works.
There's a multiplayer aspect?
Yes.
This is a weird ass game.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the multiplayer parts of a FromSoft game if you remove the PvP.
Okay.
Like if you remove the PvP, what you're left with is like how you
get helpers.
Putting you can't do that, but leaving messages down and dropping items in places and that sort of thing. So the way that it works in Death Stranding, to my understanding, is you are kind of put on a server of sorts with other people. It's called a strand, because of course it is, because everything has to be one of the 10 words that's in the game. And you and the other people on your strand can basically share structures that you build.
Okay.
So when you add a new portion of the map to the network, those players' structures can then appear.
Cool.
And that includes road segments, that includes bridges, that includes safe houses, and so on and so forth. And there are certain projects like bridges that are big enough where they require more materials than you would be able to carry with you at one time on your person. So you put a small, an amount of materials into the structure, and that moves, the progress bar or whatever. And other people can come along and contribute to that structure as well, and eventually
then use
it'll
the
be
structure.
Done. Yeah, and then you can all use it together. And
then everybody can try fingers butthole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't give up, skeleton. But so that's the way that the roads work. The roads all work on a system called auto pavers, where they are sort of built into the map, and then you can all contribute materials to them. I have been doing nothing but that. So I've built a bunch of segments myself. Most of them already had materials in them when I got to them, but I have finished off quite a few of these segments.
Cool.
And I find that pleasing, because also when people use segments that you build and drive on them, it gives you a little like. And so when I log on for the day, when I hit the roads for the first time, it tells you I get several thousand likes from people who have driven on the roads I've built. And it feels good. It's like, hey, I'm helping people out. I'm improving their experience of the game.
Nice.
I like that. It's a nice little thing. I was talking to our friend Matt, who played the game when it launched, and he was one on whatever strand he was playing on. He was I don't know what else he was doing that he was playing this much Death Stranding, but he got to the roads basically before anyone else, and he built every road in the game entirely on his own.
Wow.
No one was no one helped him.
That's a very Matt thing to do.
Yeah. And so he built all of them on his own, just completely, in his own words, no-lifed it. And logged on after he was done and got a dump of 200,000 likes or something like
nice.
That. But yeah, those aspects of the game, I'm really enjoying all of the game basically. But the social aspect of it, I've found to be surprisingly engaging, even though it's not really a social game. You don't ever actually meet any other players, but you know that you're helping each other.
Nice.
And that's cool.
That I wish real life was like that. I wish I never had to actually meet anyone. I know they're there. I know, and they're there for support. And, and they create the food, and they leave the food in front of my door, and then I don't have to see them. And then I create the radio broadcast, and then I put it out there, and they don't ever have to see me.
Sure,
that'd be great.
Yeah. I'm liking that part of it.
By the way, that reminds me, I did that thing earlier today in my show, because we were talking that segment about, it was all train songs. Because we I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this.
You listened to my joking advice, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Which one? Because I said a couple of things.
Yeah. Today it's the 4 at 4. We're pulling train on you right now.
We're running a train on you?
It was running a train on you. That was it.
Oh, no.
We're running a train on you.
You didn't say we're getting railed?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
I feel like that one's slightly more explicit.
Right. I compromised a bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Here's Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Death Stranding.
So I mean, the more you talk about it, the more it sounds like Minecraft with a delivery aspect.
I mean, it doesn't have the construction is not anywhere near as granular.
Okay.
It's you have an item that you can fabricate at your at bases called a PCC. I don't remember what that stands for.
Okay.
But it's basically like a 3D printer that can print a whole structure. And you get to a place where you want to build the structure, and depending upon how big it is, you might be able to place it in some spots. You might not be able to. And then you throw the PCC up into the air, and it starts building the structure.
Oh, neat.
And depending upon how big it is, it might have to just build the base of a structure that you then dump materials into, and then it will finish printing the structure.
So you have to go and pick up materials from somewhere else.
Yeah. Each of the bases has like an amount of materials that they will share with you that you can then throw into a truck or carry on your back or what have you. And you can also find materials in like lockers and whatnot. There are enemies called mules that are basically former delivery people that kind of went crazy.
Yeah.
And so now they will like steal packages from other people.
They went hollow
to deliver them themselves.
Yeah.
And then there are also like terrorists that will try to kill you.
Wow.
That have like camps and whatnot.
So there's a fighting aspect to this.
There is combat. There are guns in the game, but you are heavily encouraged to use only non-lethal methods because of the way the universe works in Death Stranding, where if you kill someone after a certain amount of time, it summons a BT, which is like a weird ghost from another world. And then if that BT kills somebody, it causes an antimatter explosion that destroys a huge portion of land. So killing people is bad.
Right.
So there are various non-lethal weapons that you can use to fight against mules. And mules generally will not try to kill you. They'll just knock you out and take your stuff, but leave you alive. Terrorists, on the other hand, will absolutely kill you.
Gotcha.
And they have lethal weapons. And there are lethal weapons in the game. You can kill people, and you are then encouraged to take their bodies to an incinerator.
Burn them. Yeah.
Because for some reason, burning the bodies means it won't summon a BT. I don't know.
You know what BT stands for?
Beached thing.
Oh, beached thing,
because
right. Because they're stranded on the beach.
Yeah, and the other side is a place known as the beach. And it looks like a beach for some reason.
Okay.
And it's the lore is bananas because it's a Kojima game,
right?
And the lore is always insane, and that's just how he do.
You know, I just have to imagine that Kojima was sunning himself by the ocean at one point, wearing his shirt that just says "beach thing" on it, and he went, "Hey."
I did see a little comic where the inspiration actually is he was at the beach with his family, with his wife and his son or his child. I guess I don't know what he has a child. I have no idea what their gender is, but with his family, and they were having a lovely little beach picnic, all of their stuff, and his wife was like, "Well, we should probably get going, honey." And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll carry it all back myself." And he got the child in the papoose.
Yeah.
He got carrying everything on his back, all of the stuff. And as he was climbing up the hill back to the car, he went, "I should make a game about this." The baby on the front, Like, I need to make a game about this, and I'm gonna have Norman Reedus be in it.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm now really excited about the sequel because I remember in like 2018, one of the first the first summer we worked together, when I was working there full time.
Yep.
I showed you the trailer for Death Stranding, and we both went, "What the fuck is this? What could this possibly be about?"
Is it that old a game now?
Yeah, it came out in 2019. Wow. And I watched the trailer for Death Stranding 2, the first one that came out of earlier this year, and I watched the whole thing and went, I have no idea what this game is going to be about. And I knew, like, I'd watched full playthroughs of the first game and absorbed most of the lore already, and was like, based on what I know, I still have no idea what this is or why. And I feel like that's a good sign.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm excited about it now.
All right.
Fucking George Miller is going to be in it. The
Really?
director of Mad Max.
Really?
Elle Fanning is going to be in it. There's like I don't know how many more celebrities are going to be in this game, because apparently Kojima knows all of them.
Well, yeah.
But he's been making games since the fucking 80s. And many of them have been extremely popular. So, you know, a lot of people younger than 61, which is how old he is.
Right.
A lot of people younger than that have probably played his games if they play video games at all.
Yes.
So
I mean, you've played a Konami game from the 80s. He's probably worked on it.
It was probably a Hideo Kojima game.
Right.
If you've played Metal Gear. Solid, Liquid. There was never a Metal Gear Liquid.
Metal Gear Gas.
Metal Gear Plasma. All right, let's talk about Necrophagist.
Okay.
So Necrophagist is, as we mentioned, a German death metal band, or a technical death metal band.
Yes.
That is, by the way.
Oh, that's what that's from.
So for context, you as the listener, I have on my desk a little metal doohickey that is the end of one of the chains that dangles down from the ceiling fan. And the first time I grabbed that, it just popped right off. And
all right.
the ceiling fan in my bedroom is also missing one of these. So it seems like they're not very strong. But anyway, Necrophagist. They're a German a technical death metal band would be probably
they're technically a death metal
technically a death metal band. But yeah, a technical death metal band is probably the most succinct way to describe their sound. They were founded back in 1992.
Right.
But did not have a release of a full LP until 1999. And then the next one came out in 2004, which is the one we listened to, called Epitaph.
Yes.
As we mentioned, the only consistent member throughout their history has been their vocalist and guitarist, Muhammad, and then the last name. The last name, which we already figured out, I can't pronounce.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they're probably most known for is their songwriting pulls in a lot of like Baroque song structures. There's something about if you listen to the way that the song is actually written, something about it feels like a very high energy classical piece of music.
Very high energy classical piece.
But like the way that everything is arranged feels very classically influenced, even though of course all the instruments are modern metal instruments, and you've got heavily distorted guitars and death growls and all that stuff. The name, by the way, Necrophagist, roughly means eater of the dead. Right. Which is also, I believe, used in, I don't know about any of the Witcher books, but at least in The Witcher 3, there's an enemy type called a necrophage.
Witcher 3 game, right?
Yeah, which is they're a little ghoul that eats dead bodies.
Right.
But
who's a little ghoul?
Who's a little ghoul? Who's my good little ghoul? That's what I say to Zima.
The blood god.
Yeah, their first album was called Onset of Putrefaction, which is apparently extremely hard to come by.
Putrefaction?
No,
album.
The album itself. Apparently, it's very hard to get like prints of it in any physical media. And then this album came out, and after this album came out, they toured, went through a bunch of different lineup changes, which they had already done before this album came out as well. Like I said, the only consistent member of the band was the vocalist, who Suikmez. Nope. Yeah, I've no idea how to pronounce
I think it's pronounced Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, various different members throughout their history. This album came out in 2004. Pretty well regarded, I think. I mean, their work in general is pretty well regarded. It's also easy to have a legacy when you released 2 really solid albums and then never did anything again. It's hard to tarnish your legacy if you just don't do anything else.
Just do the good. They probably recorded like 15 albums. They trashed 13 of them.
Only used the best ones.
Right.
That's some real Death Clock shit. Which, by the way, there is a Necrophagist reference in Metalocalypse. There's a hospital in some episode that's like Saint Necrophagist Hospital or something like that. What's your experience with Necrophagist? Because they're a relatively recent band.
This is it.
This is it.
I was just cruise around. You listen to like your playlist, whatever app you use, and then it says, "Hey, if you like this, you like this," and then it pitched me this. I'm like, "Fuck."
And you're like, time to bring this for Death Metal December.
Yep.
I think that was a good pull.
Yeah.
I think it was a good shout. The Necrophagist, it's a band that I'm familiar with, or have been familiar with for some time. I think that actually my first exposure was probably that Metalocalypse reference.
Yeah.
Where I was like, that's got to be like a band, right? Because they also had Dimmu Burger and that sort of thing. It's like, that's got to be a reference to a band. And then I was like, oh, it's a technical death metal band. Okay. And then sometime later, Rob Scallon, who's a musician, guitarist on YouTube, referenced them when he was I think he was at a church that had like a huge pipe organ that was capable of automation.
Yes.
Either that or it was an automated bell tower. I'm trying to remember the name of the instrument it technically is, because there are like bell towers that have keyboards you can play.
Yes.
And it's like a totally mechanical system, but I can't remember what those are called. But that place, it may not have been automated. I think he just had like a sheet and wanted to play it on there or something. So
it wasn't like a MIDI.
Yeah, it was
interface.
The pipe organ had a MIDI interface, but I don't know if I'm remembering that part correctly. I think they did play a Metallica song on the pipe organ. It was a building-sized instrument. That's all I remember. But yeah, and like he referenced it and was talking about like, I always have said when I talk about this band that like, if you were to just use different instruments, if you were to play one of these songs on an orchestra, it wouldn't sound out of place.
Sure.
And I agree with that. It would be fast, but not that much faster than some like very famous classical pieces.
Something that's very allegro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very intricate songwriting. The guitar solos, the lead guitarist on this album apparently contributed all those solos himself. I mean, I feel like that's usually pretty common. Even if you are not the songwriter as the lead guitarist, usually the solos are yours.
Right.
I feel like it would be weird to be the quote-unquote lead guitarist and play someone else's solo exactly as they wrote it and not, not do it yourself. That would be
usually
weird.
how it goes. Yeah.
That would be a little bizarre. I think that is another that brings to mind more Metalocalypse is their original rhythm guitarist. part of what led to him leaving the band is a fight that got started because Squiscar was making a solo his own on a song, the only song he ever wrote. But that's, by the way, we were talking some time ago, like, man, I don't remember the last movie we watched. The last movie we watched was the Metalocalypse finale.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that was last year.
We need to do that again.
Yeah, we should at probably this March. I don't know. It's usually around my birthday that we end up doing that.
Yeah.
Christian Munzer was the name of the lead guitarist on this album. And he does some badass solos.
And there's a lot of them, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of solos on this.
There's a lot. I feel like death metal is one of those things where it either has a lot of solos or no solos.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you which one I prefer more. I don't think I do prefer one or the other. Mm-hmm. I think they both have their own own merits.
Next week, I'm sure we're going to be listening to a lot of solos.
Probably. But does this album slap?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yes,
very much it does. It very much does. If I had one complaint about it, which is not a huge complaint, but I'm not a big fan of this style of vocals.
Okay.
Where there's not. I like variety in my vocals. I think it's part of what I like about a lot of deathcore is deathcore vocalists.
They twist it up a lot.
Yeah, they get pretty crazy with it in general. Anyway, the big bands.
What was the band that was on? It was on like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. There was a deathcore band.
I don't know.
That the network got so many complaints.
I don't know.
So much screaming. Why are they screaming on my TV?
I'm not sure. I probably have seen it, but it's not coming to mind at this moment in time. I know Every Time I Die was on Kimmel one time.
Sure.
But that was a long time ago.
There's a little bit of screaming there.
A little bit of screaming. Yeah. Although they did do one of their... I think the song that they performed was Werewolf.
Okay.
Which is a very fun song. It has some screaming, but not a lot.
Mm-hmm. The band was Knocked Loose was the name.
Oh, Knocked Loose. Yeah. I guess they're a deathcore band. I think they're more... They're really far onto the punk side of things. Where I think the term... No, power violence isn't right. That's just grindcore with the metal stripped out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what would be a more accurate in my mind term for Knocked Loose, because they're very, very, very heavy but extremely punk.
Right.
I can see. Yeah, just a really intense hardcore punk, I suppose.
Right.
They've never been my cup of tea. Knocked Loose. I've had some friends that really, really liked them, and it's like I don't really.
Not your thing.
Not quite my thing. I don't know why. But I wasn't able to put together a comprehensive score. There were 3 reviews that had actual numbers attached to them on Wikipedia, but I didn't do a whole lot of looking for other reviews.
Goes into Metacritic.
There was not a Metacritic score listed there, so I didn't go looking too far. But I think this and their first album are both very well regarded in the realm of technical death metal and death metal in general. I think the band is got quite a legacy in that neck of the woods, so to speak. What's your favorite song?
You know, it's funny when you said my only complaint is the vocals. I think Only Ash Remains is probably
the one that has the most vocals on it.
One that has no vocals on it.
Oh, no vocals on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't even really notice that it didn't have. I really like Only Ash Remains. I put Symbiotic in Theory.
Okay.
As my favorite.
Is that the final track?
That's the final track. Yeah. And I just thought the riffs on it were some of the most intense and varied and intricate, and I really liked that. And a note on the vocals: it's not that I dislike them.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't like them as much as other something that has a bit more variety.
Right.
Like even like Corpse Grinder, who's known for being a little bit of a one-note vocalist. That's not quite true because he does go a bit higher in his register and a bit lower.
Right.
His range isn't as wide and crazy as some people, but he does vary it up a bit.
He has perfect pitch.
That might be true. I can't disprove that. Just because someone can't sing doesn't mean or couldn't sing those pitches. Necessarily doesn't mean that they can't identify them.
Plays a C, so that's a middle C right there.
Yeah, because isn't that technically what perfect pitch is? Is you can just identify the notes without having reference.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, I guess either. Yeah, that's probably it.
Being able to identify it on its own, isolate, just playing a note, and someone without fail being able to go, that's that note, without having a keyboard in front of them and playing like a reference note.
I think usually when it's said, it's talking about somebody who can sing a note, and just hit that without hearing it.
I'm drinking lots of water.
It's good. Stay hydrated.
My mouth has been dry because the air is dry.
Well, yeah, the air is, especially with the freaking. It's weird. Lately, it hasn't been the problem that we used to have. The
static electricity.
Yeah. It used to be if you walked into one of the studios, you had to touch a light switch before you go in, or you're going to burn out the equipment.
Yeah. I haven't noticed the static electricity being super bad, but the air is just, you walk into the room and because we talk for our job, we have to breathe through our mouth a lot because that's what you do when you talk.
Also, we're mouth breathers.
And we're just mouth breathers.
Yeah.
But you breathe through your mouth in that building and the moisture just gets fucking sucked straight out of you like you're walking around on the surface of Arrakis. We need a fucking still suit when we go to work.
Oh.
There we go.
What if you could buy one of those?
I'm sure you can. Now that the movie's out, I'm sure there's something.
Have you seen those yet?
I have not watched them
you
yet.
Gotta watch those, dude.
I know.
Problem is you need 5 hours to do it. So.
Yeah. I'll do what my friend calls a quick dooner. And when you watch the second one, it's a dooner tuner. But maybe I'll make some time. Maybe I'll make some time on Sunday now that our D&D campaign is finished.
Yeah.
I'll make some time on Sunday. I'll hopefully have my fucking glasses by then. I will have to say on Sunday when we were ending the campaign, I'm like, okay, don't get emotional. We put 3 years into this, I can keep it cool. And then I looked across the table and went, no, fuck, oh, God damn it. I made someone cry.
Yeah. And she's probably listening right now.
I hope I didn't just make her cry again.
No, yes.
No, that's... I don't think that's the first time I've done that in D&D.
No, but usually it's because you're being mean to someone.
Yeah, usually it's because
you've slapped someone across the face.
Yeah, that's usually what it is.
You're such a bastard.
I throw a book at someone. I'm a real J.K. Simmons in Whiplash in that respect, but for D&D. Right. We wrapped up the D&D campaign that I've been DMing for the last 3 years, and it was an emotional moment. It was great. Yeah,
it was well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad that you had fun. But yeah. Anyway, I've got some free time now on Sunday for a little while.
For a dooner.
So maybe I'll do a quick dooner on my new TV.
Yeah.
Hopefully with some new glasses to properly appreciate.
Probably.
I want to properly appreciate the television with my glasses.
And the Dunne movies.
The Den. Directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Good old Dennis.
Yeah.
But yeah. What metal do you bestow upon this album, which we were talking about, Epitaph by Necrophagist?
Necrophagist.
What album?
We should listen
what
to
album
them.
do you bestow upon this metal Chewbacca Maz Kanata thing?
We don't usually do this drunk, you know that?
We also got completely off topic because we didn't finish our discussion of how dry it is at our workplace.
Oh, right. Yeah. 4% humidity.
Yeah, we have little like weather monitors on the desktops in our studios that show us the current temperature, wind speed outside. Also shows us temperature and relative humidity inside. And the relative humidity inside the building is 4%.
Right.
And it's so dry. Like I told you this morning, like this has been happening for a couple of years now, and I never quite connected the dots where like I will get. It usually clears up by the end of the workday because I think I've gotten used to how dry it is by then.
Plus, you hydrate a lot.
Yeah, but like it doesn't help with the sinus headaches, which like after about an hour at work, I tend to develop a sinus headache that lasts for most of the day, and that's been happening every winter for a couple of years.
Right.
And I never quite like figured out like, oh, it's because the air in here is literally. And I looked this up, drier than the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, the Sahara is
the average
20%?
The average relative humidity of the Sahara Desert is 25%.
Okay.
Now it's a very big desert. Parts of it are next to the ocean.
Sure.
But still, yeah, the average relative humidity of the Sahara is 25%.
None of our studio is anywhere near the ocean.
Yeah. the nearest salt water is 800 miles away in Hudson Bay, Canada.
Sure, yeah.
I looked. I was wondering about that.
Is that considered part of the ocean?
It's connected to the ocean.
Sure,
it's a body of salt water.
All things are connected to the ocean.
Yeah. It's not the ocean itself, but it's a part of the same system.
It's an inlet.
Yeah. It's I guess the Arctic Ocean probably. But
I give this a high silver.
Yeah, I agree. High silver.
Yeah.
Really fell on our faces there at the end.
I mean, it's a very old man discussion too. It's so dry.
So dry in here. Yeah, it's like it's so dry in there. It's so dry. And that's the other thing is like every winter I'm like, time for my voice to be hoarse and scratchy for the next 4 months. It would I think a little bit of humidity in that building would not be harmful. I don't think it will do anything bad to the electronics. In fact, I think it being that dry is probably worse.
Yeah.
With the static electricity.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. Well, I mean, yeah. It hasn't been a problem, though.
Maybe that's the cause of the weird signal that one of our boards is picking up that you can very faintly hear in the headphones that I managed to capture today.
You isolated it.
I managed to isolate it and could hear. You can make out a couple of words. I have no idea what radio signal that board is picking up, but
all I got were 2 words, and that was exterminate and humanity.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I don't know where that signal's coming from.
That's weird. All I heard was celebrate life. Mixed messages. The aliens
I guess
are,
it's perspective.
Yeah. You hear what you want to hear,
Once we exterminate humanity, we can move in and celebrate life.
Hey, that's great. All right. Well, next week is Chuckmas.
Yes.
And we finally come down to it. I believe, I need to make sure, but I believe the only album we have left to talk about is the one that started it all. Good old Scream Bloody Gore.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that next week for Chuckmas here as part of Death Metal December. Until then, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our feed on whatever podcast service you're using to listen to us right now. But thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
Oh.